Welcome everyone to Africam4Good, brought to you by explore.org. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be chatting to the wonderful Kel Bismeyer, the general manager and owner of Naledi Game Lodges, which many of you will be well versed with in terms of our cameras and the wonderful things we've seen on the cameras in those locations. We'll be going into just a little chat with him about the lodge and see what he has to say about the partnership with Africam and how things look for the future. So without further ado, welcome, Kel. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Hi, Russell. Thank you very much. Great to see you this afternoon. Well, as you mentioned, I'm the owner and general manager of Naledi Game Lodges, situated here in Balule Private Nature Reserve, which is part of Greater Kruger. Run a small, intimate four-star lodge. Sleeps 10 to 12 people, and just enjoy our life here in the bush and showing people the great safari opportunities that Africa has to offer.
Awesome. Look, it's one of my favorite parts of the world in terms of safari and game experiences. It's still such a wild part of Africa as well. Tell us a little bit more about Naledi Lodge and how the live cams, with Africam add to your guest experience.
I fully agree. It's one of the most amazing places out here, actually still very wild and all the rest of it. Such a great thing to be part of the Greater Kruger. Just opens up huge amounts of wildlife and opportunities for not only for us, but for our tourists and guests to actually experience. Well, Naledi we started Naledi in 2007. And we've slowly but surely grown from strength to strength and continue. We have a good team. Most of the team has been with us since day one, which is always a good sign as well. They're enjoying it. Our guests are enjoying them. And we get a lot of repeat guests coming back to Naledi due to this.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, as you say, in safaris, certainly from my experience, there's often a lot of change in staff. So if people stick around, it's always a brilliant sign that things are going well. And I've only heard wonderful things about Naledi. I haven't been there yet, hoping to come visit you guys soon. But, for yourself, how does it feel to know, that there are people all over the world watching the cameras, checking things out at Naledi, as well as, of course, your wonderful repeat guests that you have?
Look, these cameras are awesome. I always pushed for them from years ago, and we put our first one in at Rosie's. So I think Rosie's is one of my favorite cams because it was our first initial one. Even though everybody said to me when I put it up there, they said, oh, it's a bad place. It's not going to get great viewings and all the rest of it. But I think it's probably turned out to be one of the most popular cameras with some of the greatest sightings out there. Of course, it's one of the trickiest cameras because everything there is remote. It's solar, there's no power, Wi-Fi is remote. The internet is remote, everything. So it's also the cam that gives us probably the most problems from time to time, especially in the overcast conditions. But I think having these cameras and especially during COVID time, has kept people in touch with wildlife. People have been able to sit at home from their home offices and just been able to imagine themselves being on their safari that they had booked and want to come for. It's also a great way for people to sit there and look at it and go, wow, that's something happening on that camera, that's happening there. I'm planning my next holiday. Let me go do another safari because they're watching it intently. I know friends of mine and clients of mine who've got a second screen on their desk. And on that, they're just watching 3 or 4 cams or all 6 of ours that we have and going from there. And especially if we have a highlight and we take the Nomad out there and we put it at something spectacular, then you just watch the number of people that comment and send me WhatsApps and PMs and all that sort of thing of what great sightings they've had and everything. So it's wonderful that not only do we share this with people who come out to experience it firsthand, but that we can actually entertain and educate people at home who may not ever have an opportunity to come or who have been thinking about it but haven't really decided that a safari in Africa really is for them. But then when they get to see it on the cam, that may actually be their changing point. And for them to then decide to come out and visit. We've had people come out here and say, please take us to all the cam spots. We want to see where that camera in real terms is in relationship to everything else, which is wonderful. I'm happy to oblige and take people out there so they get to see from behind the camera.
Absolutely. I think I agree with you. Rosie's has become one of my favorites, when we're doing the live shows and the potential of animals that are coming down there, the great stuff we've seen there. We'll talk a little bit about some recent sightings there as well. But even just the angle of the camera as well is really fun at Rosie's, and what if any, you mentioned rosies. Which one would you think is your favorite out of the ones on the Naledi property?
I think rosies is number one. It's the first and it's the first camera that we ever put up. I think then the second camera really to watch is cat's eye. I think the positioning of cat's eye, the height of it, just gives you a total different viewpoint of animals coming to drink at a water hole. And it's phenomenal. The animals don't even take note of the camera. Okay, or they interfere with the camera every now and then. We've had elephants give the camera a good couple of turns. We've had hyenas open their mouths around the cameras and that. But they don't get affected. The actual actions on day to day is absolutely perfect, as if nobody was there. And it is so nice watching them in their natural environment without any human presence in real terms.
Absolutely. And, like for me, joining Africam, about almost 18 months, 2 years ago now, the amazing stuff that I've seen on the cameras, from highlights that we've caught overnight to live during shows, stuff that I haven't seen in the bush, having worked in the bush for, 17, 18 years, really incredible behaviors that you can capture on the cameras because they're undisturbed. The animals are undisturbed. It's unbelievable.
And also it gives you a whole different viewpoint of some of these animals. Let's take the wild dogs, for example, at the wild dog den. That was phenomenal to be able to put a camera there to watch the dogs. Yes, it was a little bit far off, but it was amazing on the basis that we think that these animals are actually diurnal. But in real times, if you looked at it, 1, 2 a.m. in the morning, we were getting some amazing footage of interaction between the pups and the rest of the pack. They were all playing and everything else like that, where you would never get that at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, because firstly, you wouldn't be out there watching them. And second of all, their interaction would be totally different. So you get this impression that these animals sleep at night, but they're actually very, very active.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, that's definitely been one of the highlights. The wild dog den and the insights that we've got from that has just been unbelievable. For yourself, which of the animals, I mean, dogs is always a special one, but for you, what do you get most excited about when, it's caught on camera?
I think leopard is one of the most exciting to watch on cam, because they probably act the most natural in front of the camera than when you're on a vehicle and watching them. They have a totally different interaction with the vehicle. They know about your presence and everything else. About you. But when you're on a cam and the cam's watching them, you can follow them, you watch them drink, you watch all their interaction. You can watch every muscle twitching them as they lie there at the water hole and just rest for a couple of hours and just wait, maybe for a prey animal to come past. I'd love to see a leopard take down an animal at one of the water holes. That I think would be absolutely phenomenal. I've seen 1 or 2 near misses over the time, but then you got to watch them pretty much constantly at night and those kind of things, because that's when it gets really exciting. I think the other animals, hyenas are also phenomenal to watch. I really enjoyed when we had it at the hyena den as well. It was amazing stuff that we saw the pups interacting. Yes, the poor nomad got a serious beating. Mud guards pulled off it, radiator covers pulled off it, all sorts of wires chewed off it at the bottom and that sort of thing. So it needed a little bit of work thereafter, but it's always great to be able to have the vehicles out there and say, sheesh, there's something to see, or even to be able to take the nomad when we had a leopard kill and put it up there. And we left it there for 24 hours, and it was phenomenal for people to see how often that leopard came back to that kill and its interaction with the hyena beneath the tree. These are all stuff that you hear about and that Nat Geo Wild catches over months and months of things. But having these cameras here, you never know what you're going to get today or tomorrow, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, the Nomad Cam has been so much fun, and I'm sure we're going to capture a lot more great things this year on the Nomad. As you say, like that incredible stuff around that leopard kill in the tree, where he popped down and almost landed on top of that civet. I don't know if you saw that little clip of where the civet got such a big fright when the leopard arrived on site. But just really incredible stuff. On the topic of leopards, Kel, have you seen the injured leopard, the one that we call the Rosie's female?
Yes, I have actually. I saw her just after Christmas here near Naledi Bush Lodge. She was actually hunting impala, and her wound, which is now really a big scab, at that stage looked phenomenal, and she was in full prime hunting and doing very well. So it's amazing to see how well these animals recover from their scraps in the bush, and this is always, it's always a problem. People see an animal injured and then go, oh, please get a vet, please get this, please fix it, because that's our nature in our human instinct to actually get out there and fix it. However, you got to leave these things alone. This happened naturally. It wasn't man-made or anything else like this. It was an absolute natural occurrence. And yes, some animals get killed by this. We've seen lions take out hyenas at the den, and that, which is extremely sad, because we've been following that hyena clan for ages, and then it knocks him back a year to 2 years. So occasionally you just got to see this and watch it, as long as the animal's not suffering. As soon as the animal starts suffering and that sort of thing, and we start seeing it, then we may have to consider having human interaction and that. But generally, we'll leave them alone as long as possible to ensure that they can recover on their own. And this Rosie's female, she's phenomenal. She's had a huge gash in her, but she's looking great today. And I'm sure she'll pop back at the cam soon. And also now she's got a very distinguishing marking on her. So she can easily be followed across the whole landscape, because now people know where she is and they know what to look for. Because spot patterns are quite difficult when a leopard's moving through the bush, as you were well aware of. But now that you're a great big scab on a right back leg and that moving through the bush, people see it very quickly.
Yeah, as you say, it's going to be quite handy to keep an eye on her, but she's such a beautiful leopard. So yeah, I can't wait to see where we catch her again on the cameras. And as you say, I'm sure it will be again soon. What's up with the wild dogs, Kel? They've obviously moved from the den now. Have you guys had any updates on the dogs?
Yeah, look, they had an original den, which we couldn't get the camera to because the antenna location was behind a mountain, so that wasn't going to help us. Then we were sufficiently lucky that they moved to this wonderful den that we had them at. And even though it was in a valley and out the way a little bit, and the camera had to really focus and zoom in. And it got a bit difficult as the bush got thicker because leaves and grass and everything else affected the focal point. And then, of course, they moved on again. They've moved to a new den, not too far from this den. However, it's the same problem. It's sitting behind a koppie or a little mountain. And I can get the vehicle there, but I can't get a signal from the vehicle to the antenna to be able to transmit it back. However, I think we're not going to have them long at the den now because the pups are actually very active now. And we're seeing them more and more out in the bush, the whole pack and their pups. So less time at the den. So I think even if we do find the new den site, I think it won't be as interesting, as active as our original den site that we had. But that was phenomenal. I think one of the first times we've actually had wild dogs and pups on a den site that we've been able to video for so long.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, and it's such a treat for all of us. When I heard that we were getting the camera in there, I was so excited. And as you said, we got some really great stuff. So, yeah, not surprising that they're on the move and that the pups are older now. And I guess, yeah, we might not have that beautiful camera position for a while until they den again. So maybe we get lucky. You never know.
The fact that they denned and they moved 3 times, and that I really do believe that the next time it's time for pups, they'll use one of those 3 den sites again because they were safe, they were undisturbed and everything. And I think that's really great for us for the future to be able to see that wild dogs have actually denned here. And this will only mean they'll do it again.
Absolutely. We managed to catch a couple of cheetahs on the cameras on Katmai over the weekend, which was a really nice surprise. I actually just saw that on returning from my lovely holiday. Do you have any info on those 2 cheetah?
Look, these 2 cheetah were phenomenal, and that they're still around. Yesterday we saw them at Bush Lodge. Our guests got to see them. Thankfully, it was their last morning safari, and they got to see them as they went out on the morning drive there. They were lying on one of the main access roads. They tried to do a bit of a hunt, but it was a bit of a sort of half-hearted attempt, but at least they got to see them stretch their legs a little bit. And that these cheetah arrived probably 2 weeks, maybe a little bit longer ago, from the Klaseri into Balule, and they've been hanging in the southern part, which we don't have the cameras on, and then slowly but surely have been making their way north. And I was surprised they haven't made it to Rosie's yet, but they made it to Katmai, which was phenomenal. Had a drink, had a lie around here, and then yesterday we're still in the area as well. Today no one's seen them, but of course, so we've had some phenomenal rains in the last month and a half, this bush has just grown. As you can see, we've had to trim back on Rosie's Rock and Katmai. We've had to actually trim the grass, and that so people can actually see what's happening, because otherwise everything just disappears there. So I'm hoping the cheetahs stay around a bit more, which is phenomenal. If you think about it, we've got wild dogs and cheetah now a regular occurrence in this area. And to show our guests that is even more phenomenal when they come out here.
Oh, it's so great. It's a big favorite for a lot of the viewers on the shows, and even just watching the cameras and our subscribers. Cheetah is always such a special sighting. So it was really cool to see. And I hope we get to, as you say, I hope they hang around for a little longer. That'll be really special.
Yeah, if you think about the sheer numbers of cheetah in the Greater Kruger or the lack thereof, and to be able to have two hanging around for the last 2 to 3 weeks and then popping up on a cam, and which I'm sure they'll pop up on another cam or so as well, is just amazing for us. Yeah,
no, really, really cool. Kel, on Africam4Good, we always want to talk about conservation and conservation work. And Naledi Lodge, of course, is involved in a few community and conservation projects. Could you tell us a little bit about those and what you guys are up to?
Well, look, we actively and proactively support the Transfrontier Africa, which is in charge of the bush babies and the black mambas. And on the bush babies, so we did a whole program last year with feeding the local community. We assisted raising funds and distributing food parcels into the local community here, because the local community was extremely hard hit due to COVID and the lodges being closed. A lot of people lost their jobs or had severely reduced incomes. So what we looked at is with the bush babies and the black mambas and that, to be able to figure out who was suffering the most in the local communities, and not just hand out parcels to everybody, but to look at who was the most needy. Of course, there is never enough to go around, but we chose the most needy, and Transfrontier and the bush babies ensured that those were always listed, and we supplied 90 food packs every 3 to 4 weeks out there to the community and help deliver it to the people and everything else like this. So we're always looking at how we can assist with various things. We also assist with the African Pangolin Working Group and try and bring people aware of the pangolins. And that's one thing that I'd still would love to see on a camera come popping past one night on one of our cameras. I think I would then just play it back on loop forever. And that's, but we were lucky about, just before Christmas, we actually had a pangolin, but senior in the wild. Just didn't make it to Rosie's. It was probably about it wasn't even far. It was probably 800 or 900 meters away from Rosie's, up on the hill.
Oh, wow.
And that, but who knows, one of these days we may get our prized animal pop up on one of the cameras for everybody.
That would be really, really special. In terms of the projects, I know you spoke about the bush babies, black mambas. How can people at home help out with those projects if they're keen to help?
Yeah, people can actually go onto the webpage from Transfrontier Africa and have a look at there. There's the Bush Baby Project, there's the Black Mamba Project, there's the educational project that they run as well with the environmental monitors. And there are payment links there, PayPal, GoPay, all these options to actually support, choose an option, support them, donate some cash, and watch the local communities benefit from it. All that money goes straight into the communities, and that none of it is used for administrative costs or anything else like that.
Awesome. Thanks, Kel. That will sure be taken up by many of our viewers out there who are always keen to get involved. So thank you for that little bit of info. Any message to those watching out there about the live cams in Naledi and what you guys are up to this year?
No, I think the great thing is keep watching them. Keep being addicted to them, because I am addicted to them. I've got 3 screens here at home on my patio, and I sit and watch as many cameras as possible, keep flicking between them. So keep watching, but also come out on safari, get out into the wild open spaces, come visit Africa, come and have a look at the wild animals that you've been following on the cameras, and come and enjoy the space. And, it's time to travel again, and we desperately need you out here. The people of Africa require tourism to be boosted again.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I absolutely agree. Come out on safari. Come join us out here. There's so much to see, and we can't wait to have everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today, Kel. It was great chatting to you. All the best for 2022. We'll be keeping an eye on the cameras for sure, and hopefully I can get up there to come visit you soon.
Excellent, Russell. Thank you very much for your time today, and we look forward to having you up here to showing you what you've been missing out on in real times. Take care. All the best.
Cheers. Thanks, Carl. And thank you all once again for watching the show. Please join us again next week for Africam4Good, brought to you by explore.org. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay informed for any of our upcoming shows. But for now, it's cheers from all of us. We'll see you soon.